Welcome viewers, welcome to Season 3, Round number 5 of Tanso's Racing Group TCR Championship. My name is Rob Sutherland, we're joined on cameras by Rob Jackson as well. We're looking at the qualification car of Nick Clibbins in the Simtech car, and we are at the first time in 3 seasons, we are visiting Knockhill. So, we're looking at qualification, and we've got about 15 cars here today, the majority of which are Hondas, which is a complete turn up for the books because they're very much the unpopular car, or have been since their release, but they're looking a little bit stronger since a couple of patches, so we're going to see a lot of VTECs up and down the circuit, and we're looking at Nick Clibbins still, who's just setting out. I think we've got a 10-minute qualification that will lead into a couple of 20-minute races, the second of which will be a 12-car reverse grid. And we're still looking at what we've got. Callum Garden on track now with the Altitude Esports car as he comes into last corner. We're going to see some times on the board. So, without further ado, let's bring Mr. Jackson into the chat. Hello, Mr. Jackson.
Good evening, Rob. How's it going?
All good, thanks yourself.
Yep, not too bad, not too bad. It's ready for another exciting week of TCR action with the boys here tonight.
Yeah, it's very much the usual suspects. Apart from one or two notable absences, one of which we will mention because it's quite an important one. Season 2 championship winner Craig Waters hasn't turned up, and this is the first race in 22 races he's missed. So, yeah, he's basically turned up every Tanso race has been a Craig Waters, but there's not a Craig Waters in this race. So, hopefully we'll see you again next round in a couple of weeks, Tokiyama, Craig. But if not, just sit down with Mr. Stevenson, Season 1 champion, who's in chat, waving. Hello, Milking, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. It's a shame once again you're not on track because I think you'll quite enjoy the circuit. So, Mr. Jackson, that was a complete sidetrack, mate. What do you expect to happen today?
Well, I think with Knockhill being quite a short, tight circuit, it'll be the usual Tanso, battles throughout the field. A lot of close racing and maybe a few silly sends coming up to the final hairpin, which is Taylor's. Excellent.
We've just seen some comments on stream. Mr. McKinley, I believe you were in the racing today. If you're in the league, if you're in the iRacing league session, you should be able to see this session and you should be able to connect to it, presuming you own the content, i.e. the TCR car and the circuit. So. But it is now under quali, so unless you know the circuit, it should be quite interesting. Someone else who literally snuck in by the skin of their teeth is championship organiser JT Johnson, who literally turned up with about 30 seconds to spare, which was pretty scary for him probably. I think he was running through the door while qualification was ending. So it's good to see him here. He's another person that's attended every race in the championship so far, obviously, because he runs the joint. But it's great to see him along today, because there would have been a different type of race without him here.
Yeah, like I said, another last-minute entry as well. Mr. Dan Mould, he managed to squeeze into the grid. So he's just come out on track now, and he's going through, I think, Duffer's Dip, coming up into McIntyre and towards Butchers. So he'll be wanting to set a good time, I think, and put himself up near the front of the pack. I think... I need to stop saying him, but him and Cal, at last the first challenge might be a bit awkward in this track, but we'll see.
Sam J. Smith looks like he's turned up halfway through quali, so Andy, there's probably still time, mate. Come on in. You won't be at the back. So Dan Mould hasn't set his time yet. He's first to come round, I think. I think everyone's pretty much set their times already. So at the top of the pack, we're looking at Callum Garden and John Brown. Mark Brown with an E is in 3rd position. Scott Malcolm looks like he's finishing 4th, 5th position currently. Elliot James in the Insignia Honda. He goes down the back of the circuit up to T6. T9 before it goes around for the start of the big hill. So it's a 9-corner circuit. The tightest one by a mile is Taylor's, just before you get to the start finish, which is a big uphill, where you rejoin the highest point of the circuit, which is the start finish. There we go. Just done the building supply sign, and he's just gone 5th. I don't think that was that improved. I don't think so. 6th position, Alan Brown looks like he's done for the day. So Chris Perry, Derek Crowther out on circuit still.
Chris Perry was setting greens on his final lap. Derek's just pipped into 7th position there as Chris has finished his lap, but yeah, it looks like he's in 8th position.
Dan Mould, first lap out, 52.39. He's gone pole position. He set that quite late, so he's going to extend the qualification by a few minutes, I should think. But that's well, if that's his first lap and he's warming the tyres up, let's see how he does for the rest.
Yeah, no, it's a storming lap there. He's a good 1/10, just over 1/10 quicker than Cal on his lap. So them two, I think this race they'll both want to start near the front and they can clear off into the sunset, hopefully.
Oh, hopefully for him. Sam J. Smith and Daniel Wareham looks like they're just about to come over the line to start their first lap. There's the SimTech machine just coming through turn number 9. Dan Mould, is he going to improve? Well, he should do, because he's still warming his tyres up. And yeah, 52 point... Well, actually, I say that. I don't think he has improved, does he?
I think he's
maybe
pretty
got an
much...
off track.
He's set a similar lap time there.
Yeah, or maybe you got an off track. Sam J. Smith still running around.
Yeah, so Sam and Daniel are roughly both on the same section of track there, halfway round. But of course, with this being a lone qualifying session, even though everyone is out on track, you only see your own car on track at once. So there's no benefit of toes or anything like that. It's just you against the track, and away you go.
Right. So looks like they're still probably neck and neck on the circuit pretty much, but Sam's just gone over the line. Let's see how he does off the bat. With hardly any practice, he goes 12th position. And he will start his second lap now. We have probably about 3 minutes left, so I think he's easily got time to set at least one more lap. And Daniel Wareham, I think he may have had a off track in that one, which is quite easy. Over the first few corners, you certainly are slightly out of control over the curves, and sometimes you can get a 4X, especially if you run a little bit wide down the bottom of the hill.
I think we just saw Daniel go a bit wide there, so that might be an off track again for him.
Well, he's got 2 races to master. 2 races to master the layout, the Team Matrix car. So hopefully his third one will be green. So Sam J. Smith crosses the line for his second lap. He doesn't improve, and he doesn't go faster than his SimTech Racing teammate Nick Clibbins, but he does improve. Daniel Wareham finally sets a lap. He's gone 8th position. That's a very, very good provisional race position from Daniel. The only really person that can beat him is Sam J. Smith. He's still out on circuit. You can see hopping the curbs. So it goes down into turn number 3. So I think that's 3. Sorry, it might be 6, I think.
Yeah, as we were saying in the lead up to this as well, Rob, it's a very tight track. It's one that I've not personally raced yet on the series, so it'll be interesting to see how these guys get around it.
So, from what I've been speaking to a chap who, well, Sam J. Smith has gone second. Well, there you go. Well, I'll tell you what, talk about that. You turn up halfway through quali, and you just go and set the second fastest time. Sat squashed right bang in between Callum Reed-Garden and Dan Mould. Sam J. Smith, I take my hat off to you, sir. That's a fantastic effort. And that's pushed Daniel Wareham down to 9th position. And I see everyone else pretty much down one more as well. So that, I think, will be the end of the quali. So what we can do while we've got the time is take you through the start order in a few seconds.
It's up until the results actually come. I'll just quickly put up the championship table after the last 2 rounds as well, so the viewers can see who's out in front and the points of every driver at the moment.
Okay, so we can see the championship positions. Callum Reed-Garden is out ahead in 216 points, and Dan Mould's on 190. Looks like there is a fight on with Fraser Garrity and John Brown. Fraser is here at the moment, and John Brown here is obviously never ready as well. So these guys around. But you just have a look between 6th and 11th place because everyone else is involved in that battle. So there's all to play for. Right, okay, so we'll take you through the quick starting order. Pole position is your Insignia car, Dan Mould, next door to Sam J. Smith. Callum Garden, 3rd position. 4th is John Brown. 5th position is Mark Brown with an E. 6th position is Scott Malcolm. 7th is Elliot James. 8th position, Alan Brown in the SRL machine. 9th position, Daniel Warham. 10th position, Derek Crowther. 11th position, Chris Perry. And 12th position is Fraser Garrity. 13th position, Nick Clibbins. 14th position, Ryan Dudley. And 15th position is JT Johnson. And bringing up the rear is Stuart Gibbons. Right, we're still waiting a couple of people on the grid. We can see one of the Code Brown machines of John Brown, and he will be alongside the other Code Brown machine of Mark Brown. And I think we can see a couple of Insignia cars there. See the pink and black car of Ryan Dudley at the back. We're just waiting for a couple more on the grid. So I think if we shoot back to the front.
Yep, we're just waiting for Dan and Sam to join, and like you said, Mark Brown as well. Those just them 3 cars need to join the grid. So they've got 40 seconds before they won't be allowed, and they'll have to start from the pit lane.
So round number 5, season 3, Tanso TCR Championship. We can see the pole sitter Dan Mould, and he's alongside soon to be joined Simtech Racing car of Sam J. Smith. First time we've seen a Simtech car on the front of the grid, I believe, in the Tanso Championship. So this will be a fantastic opponent for Dan to race. The lights are on, we can hear the revs are building. And a bit of a flash of the lights from Dan Mould as we go down the hill for the start of round 5, race 1. And Dan Mould just looks like he pushes Sam J. Smith to the outside. And we're going in 2x2 through turn number 1 down the hill. Across the curbs they go. And we're going to find the compression that comes into turn number 6. And it looks like we're all getting through pretty cleanly at the moment. Looks like it is spreading out a little bit, but it's Dan Mould still at the front, followed by Sam J. Smith. And I don't see anyone off the circuit yet, which is a bit rare as they come up through turn number 8. And now they're going through the kink to turn number 9 for the first time.
Yep, that's it. Like I said there, it's probably one of the cleanest starts we had in the race series as well. So well done everyone, and let's hope that they all carry on. As we say, that Elliot James just went off the track there at Taylor's.
I think there was a bit of a compression into Taylor's, and I think that's one of the Insignia cars was going quite slow, as I think he got the very tight line, and Dan Mould just hops over the curb. So we're going to see a bit of curb abuse now as they come down at McIntyre into Butchers.
Yeah,
and it's just a bit of a hole.
I'm going to say, you mentioned there, Rob, about the curb abuse. Just think if this happened pre-patch for the Hondas, I don't think we'll see any Hondas on this track. They all would have been the Hyundais or the Audis.
Aye, and thankfully iRacing sorted that, so we have a little bit of a level playing field. These are, of course, all fixed setup cars, so there's no trick setups here or anything fancy like that. They're all as the iRacing gods intended for the setups, so it's all a fairly level playing field, and they're all boxed between each other. We just see Nick Clemens just take a little bit of a wide entrance into Taylor's, and he's just going to be picked up right under the toe by one of the Team Matrix cars of Daniel Warham. I think we missed Stuart Gibbons going off the pits, but we won't go back to that just yet. He's just jumped back. I think he had a bit of an accident. And we can just see the nose cam of the Simtech machine, and we can just see in front, that's A. Brown, the SRL machine of Alan Brown. I don't know what's going out of his boots. And if Nick gets close, we might be able to have a little look. There we go. That's the reference I don't quite understand.
It's he's obviously got a stowaway in the boot of Pennywise the Clown there from the film It.
There you go. Right, so that's probably for someone much younger than me to understand. So we can see just coming through Taylor's one more time, lap number 3. And this is probably the cleanest I've seen Tanso race to be. Maybe this was spiced up in the second half. You can just see the SRL car, Brown, just taking a little look at his compatriot in the Code Brown machine of Al Brown, just to say, go on, have a little look down to turn 1, and we'll see what goes on. There's all the pressure now. Nick's is up +5 positions, and I don't think we've noticed Nick Clibbins climbing through the grid this much, but it's doing a fantastic little effort so far. big smash of the curb there from Daniel Worm. And is the other Slimtech machine of Clibs in the little Honda. So that's the first time I've seen him out in the Honda today, Rob.
Yeah, that's it is. Yeah, like you said, he's first time we've seen him in the Honda. He's always been in the other cars, so must have fancied a change and fancies his chances in the Honda around this track.
And it's just absolutely shown a new pair of heels by that Hyundai of Wareham, as he's just gone completely around the outside of Taylor's. He found the grip on the outside line and he found the curb as well, and just gave himself a nice little run up. And that's a fantastic pass of the day. So that's down one position, +4 for Nick Clibbins in the end. But that's a fantastic pass by Daniel Wareham, who we saw had quite a good quality. And I think he's well, actually no, sorry, he had a good practice. He didn't have a very good quality. So he's also like Dan, or Nick, sorry, fighting his way through. So we can see him slide over curbs. This circuit does really suit these TCRs, the way you can just sort of neutrally hop over the curbs and not end up in the fence.
It's I'm not quite sure for actually watching Tanso this week. You know, it's been very clean, considering.
So far, it's the Tanso possession league, I think. We're on board with Daniel Worm, looking behind again the SRL machine of Al Brown, and he's maybe going to see how he goes down these chicanes through T1.
Just there, the cars bottom out slightly there as they compress under as the track dips down quite heavily and then levels off again.
What an absolute roller coaster! Just a couple of corners followed by maybe an accident. It kind of reminds me a little bit like maybe 5% of old hairpin at Donington, where you just come down completely committed into the old hairpin, and you have to really get around that. It can get there's a lot less runoff here. As we can see, they're going to the last corner now. And we can see the big change in elevation you need to get up that car. I don't think there's as much of a elevation change we've seen outside of Bathurst, I think, or Laguna Seca.
Funny you should say that it reminds you of Donington slightly, because the start-finish straight here now, as you watch the cars go past, that also does remind me of T1 at Donington. And
just hitting one curve, there's two Insignia cars off. So that's Elliot James and Fraser. I think they had the same accident, and I think Fraser just held it on the throttle a little bit better, and Elliot James just locked up, back came round. So that's these two guys. We should probably get a replay of that.
Yep.
Because that's the first real action we've seen. So we can see Fraser Garrity takes the curb, and a bit of a hop there, and it just, a little bit of a wobble behind, really. It's like accident in in Miranda, really. So Fraser manages to rejoin. He's rejoined a 13th position.
Yeah, just rewatching it again. Like you said, they both seem to have the same instant there, hop over the curb, unsettles the back of the car, and as they land, it's just game over.
So it's all to gain for now for Garrity and James in 13th, 14th position. Looking at the front, there's still the same battle. Dan Mould, Sam Smith and Callum Reid guard him. Looks like it's just getting a little bit closer from Sam Smith. But there's a few real places. I think there's probably about 2 or 3 corners you can really affect a pass around here if you get a good run on the car in front. And Sam J. Smith, who is in a Hyundai, and he is very much sandwiched by Hondas. We'll be looking to see if he can take that opportunity. We've seen one Hyundai take it around the outside of Taylor's. Dan Mould might not like someone doing that, so maybe a little bit harder to do that to Dan. But up they go for the hill for end of their lap number 8, start of their lap number 9. And we're just looking at the 9-minute mark, or the 7-minute mark, sorry. So we're not halfway through the race yet.
No, yeah, and not been many position changes. You've got Nick Clemens, who has gained 4 positions. Ryan Dudley's gained 2. And then we've got Scott Malcolm, Al Brown, Daniel Wareham, who have also gained 1 position each.
So we're looking at one retiree from Stuart Gibbons so far. JT Johnson is in the pits. Didn't have a lot of practice, John Johnson, so I think he's maybe haven't actually pulled it back into the pits. Went for the race 2, and we can just see still pretty much 1, 2, 3 as it was. We have seen this in the past in the Tanso Racing Group heat number 1. It does stay pretty much on qualification order, with a couple of anomalies really, and then it spices up quite a lot in the reverse grid. But so far, We can see further back. We're just breaking up into packs while they're in each other's toe. We're looking at Derek Crowther now, who's getting really, really tasty behind Nick Clibbins. And he just shows himself onto the inside of T1. Is he going to do it under braking? Nope, still too much of a gap between them. But looks like Clibbins goes in very, very hot into T1. Just manages to collect it in T number 2. And of course, that's another Honda, so maybe a bit lucky over the curbs in comparison to the Insignia Hondas that we saw previously. But he's just sort of slid through that corner, just slowed up a little bit. And there is a car up ahead. We just missed that. I saw a green car up ahead, just ahead of Nick Clibbins, who came around the corner. We'll have to find out who that is. I think maybe Daniel Wareham, actually.
Daniel Wareham, yep. I'll just go back now to see what happened. There we go.
So here we go, Daniel behind Al Brown. Just over the curves, just a little bit. That was complete 4 wheels off the circuit, guys. And yeah, just doesn't manage to get it stopped. That car's a little bit shorter in the quarter, the rear left quarter than it was as it came at the factory. So they are right back on the track now. And he's now dropped back into the battle of Garrity and James. So these guys have something to race for. But I think we've just missed Scott Malcolm falling down the order.
Yep, we'll jump to that one now as well and have a look at that. As Scott, again, heavy under the brakes there, and I think just unsettles the car coming over the crest of Duffer's Dip in turn 1.
So our highest place Audi is still a highest place Audi because the other one's retired. But that was an uncharacteristic error from Scott Malcolm, who I think pretty much is the only Scotsman in the field today. So we were really looking onto him, who was a race winner last round at Alton Park, I think. We were really looking for him to...
He won race 1 last week.
Yeah, I seem to remember that. So we were looking at him for maybe some expert guidance around here, but he's having a bit of a tough time of it at the moment, as he's stuck behind Al Brown and Mark Brown. In fact, there's 3 Browns in a row now. It must be a Tanso race. There's 3 Browns line astern. But we're looking at John Brown and Mark Brown in the Code Brown machines, and then behind him, by a few seconds, is the SRL machine of Alan Brown.
Yeah, he's got a lovely new chrome green and matte grey livery on his Hyundai there.
Yeah, so I think this is the first time we've seen Al Brown in the Hyundai. I think we normally see him in an Audi.
Yeah, he's also, it looks like he's got a green Union Jack on his roof as well.
And I think we've seen a crash in the background. I think Elliot James has just had a little bit of a crash. So we saw Elliot have a bit of a problem with the curb earlier. So I think if we take a replay of Elliot, that car looks a little bit second-hand.
I think he had a multiple there, so he goes off track there once, manages to stick it out the wall, he'll head back on track, but comes into the braking zone. Yeah, he had 2 incidents there, so let's fast forward to the second one, which is more.
Yeah, so that's pretty much rinse repeat what happened the first time round for Elliot, and he how does he rejoin? Well, he just about survives.
Yeah, no, sorry, you've lost that one.
Right, so let's go back to live, and we can see Derek Crowther, who's just still catching Nick Clibbins, and just looking behind. We've not seen these 2 guys before, but Nick Perry, Ryan Dudley, they are just sort of line of stern, just catching these 2 for looks like a battle for 4-way. We've seen these 2 guys before, and I think I've just seen JC Johnson just pulling up a side there. I think he must be doing some practice at the back of the grid. But we can see, the pink and black and a bit of orange car, Ryan Dudley, who I think had a pretty good result. He was doing quite well in the MX-5 racing, from what I believe. He's doing quite well in the Tanso MX-5, which alternates with the TCRs, and we just see him take a creative line, 4 wheels completely over the curb, and it just sort of sits up at the front as it goes over. But he survived that. It doesn't look like it's taken any damage, Rob.
Nope, yeah, I was just about to say, his last round in the TCRs for Ryan, I don't think he had the best of weeks because he was 16th in both races. So that's definitely a round to forget for him.
Well, I think this is one of his best races so far, because he's currently 11th position plus 3 from start, and he is on the back of the pack, so there is something to fight for. I think that might...
Yeah, sorry, Rob, I was just going to say his best finish ever was in the second race in round 1, and he came 6th position in that place.
And a bit of Brands GP. I remember that one. That was a good finish for Ryan. I think that fight for that 4-way battle might spice up in a couple of laps' time. Looks like it is compressing. But there is very much a fight on for the lead. And Mould and Sam J. Smith are still sort of line of stern. Sam has shown inside. Callum's been nice and relaxed there. 3rd position. Doesn't really have to fight for anything just yet.
No, that's right. With 7 minutes left in the race, so anything can still happen in that. But again, I think Callum, he's got quite a calm head on his shoulders at times, so he knows just sit back, gain a few points. Ideally, he'd like to be in front of Dan to close the gap a little bit. Oh no, sorry, Callum's in the lead, isn't he, in the championship? So
yeah, by 16 points.
Yeah, so
no, by 26 points. My maths is truly terrible, and we can see he's probably realised that now, and he's just thinking, and he's put a bit of pressure on Sam. Sam didn't get too much of a good run through the first corner, and then Cal just had a little look inside. Oh, there you go. Maybe I think this is one of those circuits that if you get the combinations wrong coming down the hill, by the time you reach turn number 3 or turn number 6, you can become a little bit unstuck. And I think we just saw that there as he slid off outside of McIntyre. I think turn number 3.
Mm-hmm. I think again with Sam going slightly off track there, it didn't help him because it looked like he was almost pushing Sam along the track at one point, so that would have knocked his momentum and blinded him slightly for the upcoming corners.
Last lap, John Brown was 2 tenths faster than both Callum and Sam, so there is a couple of seconds gap. Looks like he is catching. I don't think I've seen a Tanso race in a long time where we've seen the pack that's been lapped. So I don't know what the gap is between Dan Mould and the back of the grid.
Just looking on the track map that's on screen, 14th position, Elliot James has just gone round the final bend at Taylor's, while Dan and the others were just starting on the railway straight, coming out of turn 7.
Okay, so that's not going to be much of a problem at the moment. So let's have a look at the next nearest battle on the track, and a bit of a flashing from the lights there from Callum Garden, a bit of hellology. So it just shows the inside to Sam. Maybe he thinks Sam isn't often in this position, but I can tell you Sam is quite a quick boy, and he's often in this position, so I don't think that'll get through to him. Clibbins has just dropped a couple of positions. Did we miss that? Yes, I think we did. So Clibbins, I think he went off the track and got caught. Dropped about 3 positions, I think. So he's fantastic. Well, we can see there's a bit of grass hopping then. And just slides around, saves on the throttle. Let's see what caused that. Same again, yeah. Just a bit of a curve, pushing him out wide, bottom of T6. He almost got followed up by Derek Crowther, to be fair. But yeah, just recovered, slides, does catch on the throttle. Yes, he does. You can see him there burning. Fantastic save from Nick Clibbins, I must admit. That's fantastic. And he just dropped behind Ryan Dudley.
I think he's just gone back off track again now as well, as we come back live.
So he's gone from a fantastic start, 13th position, all the way up to sort of the 8th or 9th, I think he got to, and he's now down into... that was a very, very good job for moving. It almost became a bit of a bigger accident with JT Johnson, but he's now back down into 13th position, and that's unfortunately undone all of his good work. But we're now back with Al Brown, currently 6th position.
Yep, this last lap or two, the packs just seemed to spread out because we had a few cars within 1 second of each other, or under 1 second between each other. But now there's about 1.2 seconds between most of the cars, and then you've got the top 3 who are still fairly close to each other.
And we'll be looking at the Altitude Esports car, Callum Garden, who will be looking to get back onto the back of Sam J. Smith because he did drop off for a little bit at the bottom of the hill a few laps earlier. Dan likes to take all the track as he comes through pit exit to get T1 as opened up as possible, just getting up to the bottom of these combination through turn number 3. And yeah, he just needs that just to give himself as much of an advantage over Sam J. Smith as possible. Last lap time rounds was 52.63 for Dan and 52.61 for Sam J. Smith. And Callum Garden very much trying to get onto the back to the 52.2, and that gap behind to John Brown in 4 positions just opened up, I think, to about 6 seconds. So I think that's a little bit cold for now. What isn't cold is Fraser Garrity, who's recovering, and he's right up behind Ryan Dudley now to go on board with the Insignia machine.
That's right, we just saw Ryan then just go off the track ever so slightly, which just killed his momentum, which enabled Fraser to close the gap a little bit more. So now he can try and use that little bit of draft, which I'm not sure on this track it helps that much with it being so short, but at least he'll be able to put him under pressure, just showing down the inside there at Taylor's, gets his foot on the brakes, and hopefully gets a better drive off heading up to turn 1 at Duffer's Dip. And
he's certainly using every bit of the circuit as he does show himself on the inside, coming into Taylors and then darts to outside to open the corner up. And he's just shown again onto the inside. I don't think you're close enough at the moment, mate, because you're going to need to be fairly alongside unless you can force him into an error. And you can see the lift-off oversteer from Dudley in the Honda. He's really just shown the inside. I mean, he completely missed the curve into T1, and I think we've seen the effects of that now as he comes down through the compressions. A bit of the gravel there for Fraser. Maybe that's not optimal for him. I think they're making the same sort of errors, really. And this is very much a Honda battle, really. So there's no real difference in handling because it's all fixed setup. So we'll see how these guys are just having to drive these cars a little differently to be a little bit quicker than the guy in front.
Yeah, and even though I think the Audi still has the top speed advantage on the long straights with the gearing, with it being a different gearbox than the other two. But with this track, as we said, so short, it just can't quite open up its legs enough or stretch its legs enough, to use that benefit of its top speed advantage to pull away or to help overtake.
And we didn't see that at the start, did we, with Scott Malcolm? Because he's obviously one of 50% of the Audis on the grid, but he was the one furthest to the start. As we see, Barney's throwing the white flag, so well, here we go. Maybe it's going to hot up between the top three, but we certainly will keep an eye in race number 2 on Scott Malcolm in the Audi, because as JC Johnson coming out the pits denies Sam J. Smith the use of the same line that Dan Mould took earlier, and that's just cost him a little bit as he touches the gravel, slows down now. Callum Garden is up behind him, and you can just see the varying speed, and they're always on the gravel, just absolutely murdering him. But the Hyundai now looks to the inside, doesn't make it, just shows himself. Callum Garden, it just swings between advantage Hyundai, advantage Honda. What's it going to do? Coming into Taylor's for the last time. And they're all twitching over the bumps, aren't they? They really are twitching.
Yeah, oh, and Cal just shows up the inside, and unluckily for him, but luckily for Sam, he just manages to hold it around the outside and finishes in second position.
So race number 1 goes the way of Dan Mould. Second position and a championship best is second position for Sanjay Smith. Callum Garden takes to the pits for third, but I don't think he had any. I don't think he had a drive-through. Maybe he did. There is 17 incidents. Maybe he had a few more than we saw. I think I counted about 8 off tracks. But over the line in 6th position goes Alan Brown, and then everyone else. Garrity doesn't get past Ryan Dudley, and the first Team Matrix car home is Chris Perry. Nick Clibbins crosses the line. He'll be disappointed because he did do incredibly well, but he started where he finished, which unfortunately for him is 13th position and 1 position outside of the reverse grid. Elliot James crosses the line in 14th position, and I think that's his. So that will be the last of the runners, I think. So I'll let you take people through the finalised results, Mr. Jackson.
Yep. So we've got them on screen now. So we have Dan Mould in first position, followed by Sam Smith in second, Cal Garton in third, and John Brown in fourth. Mark Brown in fifth, and rounding out the trio of Browns was Al Brown in sixth, Scott Malcolm seventh, Derek Crowther in eighth, Chris Perry in ninth, and Ryan Dudley in 10th. Fraser Garrity is in 11th position, Daniel Wareham is in 12th, Nick Clibbins in 13th, Elliot James in 14th, John Johnson in 15th, and Stuart Gibbons right at the back in 16th position.
Right, so we're going to have a little bit of a break now between the 2 races, between the heat race and the feature race. So we'll be back in probably 2 or 3 minutes, and we'll take you through the build up to the feature race, which will be an inverted 12 position race, and that will mean that we'll see a lot of chaos, I should imagine, on this circuit, Rob.
Yep, it certainly will. It'll be interesting, won't it?
Welcome viewers, we're just going towards the end or finishing up now in the warm-up for pre-race race number 2. You can see the provisional I think this is the championship standings we got up at the moment, which shows us that the gap's getting a little bit tighter at the top and the pack further down. I think from 6th position Scott Malcolm all the way down to 12th position of Andrew Lovesley is looking a little bit busy, a little bit spicy, I think, for the reverse grid. So let's try and pick up the reverse grid we've got lining up on the grid now, and I think we shall look at the start of the race for the reverse grid. How's your hiccups, Rob? Guys, we haven't. Okay, yep. So while we're looking at that, and my producer stroke cameraman stroke everything else is having a hiccup attack in the background, we'll just look at the reverse grid. So we've got a Team Matrix car alongside a Insignia car of Daniel Wareham and Fraser Garrity. Ryan Dudley 3rd position, 4th position is Chris Perry, 5th is Derek Brown, 6th position is Scott Malcolm, 7th is Alan Brown, 8th position Mark Brown, naturally another Brown is in 9th position. I think we've just seen a hell of a jump start there from Daniel Wareham as the green light goes, so we'll expect to see Daniel Wareham to maybe either make himself pretty scarce or to maybe pull off the grid and let everyone pass before he has to take his drive through. But still, either way, we go down the hill all alongside. Looks like a big old gaggle at the back. We're getting a little bit spicy already, and we're seeing the other Team Matrix car around. And I think he got unloaded and a bit collected as we look at the Tanso machine of JT Johnson. And that looks like, so it looks like we've had the Chris Perry and Daniel Wareham have had a hell of a start. And we're seeing stuff happen further up the grid. And we can just see Al Brown is just dropped to the back of the grid.
Yeah, there's 3 cars in the back there, Rob, so we'll have to go back and have a look at these. It looks like Scott was involved with something.
So we can see Scott Malcolm just getting off the grass here. I think he just, maybe the rear comes around, he gets back into it. No, he's on his way to an accident, looks like it. No, that's just by himself. Well, miraculously, he doesn't hit anyone. So that's Scott out. And then we see 2 more Insignia cars out at the bottom. And one of those was the championship leader Dan Mould car. So we're seeing all sorts of stuff going on. I think so. We see Daniel Wareham, he's just taken his drive through in real time, but yeah, you can see the same again, those Hondas over those bumps. They really don't like it, and unfortunately for Dan, instead of hitting the wall, he hits an Audi, so maybe a bit more damage for him as they do a nice little J-turn. So if we go back to live now, we should be able to see the challenge, and we can see there's an Insignia one too. Insignia Honda in first, Insignia Hyundai in second, and Callum Garden is pretty much like race number 1 in 3rd position. However, this time round, he's plus 7 positions. So we've seen an absolutely amazing start for Callum Garden, the car number 22. And Ryan Dudley's just still dropping, just defending himself in the Code Brown machine of Mark Brown. So they go up the hill. And Sam J. Smith, we saw have a fantastic first race, his drag race, side by side. 2 Hyundais go up the hill. And Ryan Dudley in front, just going to show on the inside. Bouncer full on, taking flight from Sam J. Smith as he comes down the chicane. And this is a little, this is a 4-way battle with the likes of which we didn't really see in the first race, and which is what reverse grids really give us. I think we missed a pass between Alan Brown, but we'll stick with the battle we got at the moment as Ryan Dudley just goes off the trackle. And that's dropped him down a couple of positions. We've got Code Brown, Simtech, Code Brown, and then Ryan Dudley bring up the rear. Yeah, and we can see there is a fight further up the front between Callum Garden, Derek and Fraser. And Callum just out, I don't know if there was a little bit of a touch and he went wide, but it was fended off successfully by Derek Crowther. And they go up the hill for what is a pretty crazy first 4 laps, I think. Crikey, we're on lap 4 already.
Yep, that's right. There's quite a few cars a couple of laps down. Stuart Gibbons, I don't think he made the grid for this race. Scott Malcolm looks like he's retired as well after he's off track in the first incident. Then we've got Al Brown, who's currently sat in pits. I'm guessing he's going to hang up his gloves for the evening because they have unlimited fast repairs, and he's obviously not using one of them.
I think it's I think we've seen Scott Malcolm has rejoined the circuit, but that's unfortunate for Scott and for Al and JT Johnson as well. And we can just see Derek Crowther defends like pretty much at lap 4. The same thing goes on. Callum just goes in a little bit too late I think maybe Callum's going to try and master the outside line that we saw someone use in the first race. But he's got, I think, you know what? What's faster up that hill? The Hyundai or the Honda?
I think the Hyundai has the quicker speed. It's very similar on the Audi to the top pace.
But on the nose, we're all having medical dramas here today. On the nose is that Honda, is looking very racy down the Estes. Callum Regarden just trying to line up Derek Crowther. Behind, we've not seen. Actually, we'll keep on board with Callum. This is a really good shot. As we see Callum try once again the outside line. Is he going to make it stick?
Seems to have his nose just in front there, but with the
he's trying it. Here we go.
Tight.
So this is the answer. What is the fastest up the hill? Because Callum Regarden absolutely lit as he came out that corner, and he's just holding Derek to the inside line. And with Sam J. Smith and John Brown there behind. So this is a battle for 3. It's now turning into battle for 5. And once again, just a little bit of a touch. It's all over now. That's commentator's curse almost, I'm afraid, Derek. But hopefully you last for a few more laps as we see Callum once again go wide.
Yeah, that just opens the door up there for John to put his nose up the inside. And he just goes in a bit too hot, but Callum, really good save there. And,
yeah, straightens out, comes to the end of John again, taps him off the circuit. He's dropped a couple more positions now behind the other Code Brown machine of Mark Brown. Yeah, that's unfortunate. He was always going to plough his way through the corner the way he entered it. Callum probably could have left him more room, but I don't think he had to, really. It was an accident when it happened, as we see Ryan Dudley going to take advantage. John Brown now going up the hill.
There you go, straight drag race now to turn 1.
We'll see how this is like. Ryan just yields a little bit early. I think Ryan let him have that quite early. Maybe looking for the undercut.
Yeah, maybe hoping that he'll get on the brakes early, and then John will overshoot slightly and gain a position that way. Right,
let's go back to the first battle again and see what chaos is reoccurring. Maybe I need to learn English one day. So Callum Regarden or Sanjay Smith, the Simtech machine, on the back of Derek Crowther as he defends the reverse grid position.
Yeah, Sam, he really benefited from the incident with Cal earlier on. He just made it all the way through and kept the momentum. And,
I think that Hyundai's better on the outside line than the Honda we saw from Callum, because that's a fantastic drive outside and up the hill from Sanjay Smith, and we saw Callum try to do the same thing a lap earlier. Side by side, very brave. He's going to have the inside for the next corner, and then he just claims it, and he's then got the turn number 4 absolute on his own. And what a fantastic pass that is for Sam.
Yeah, it was great racing from both of them, from Sam and from Derek, because Derek could easily squoze up against Sam and close the door. But no, great racing.
I think Sam, with the exit of that last corner, is absolutely on a roll now. We might see a change for the lead going into Taylor's as he's right under the rear bumper now. Fraser Garrity, who's currently 3rd in the championship. Fraser just goes in a little bit defensive, and here's Sam going to try the outside line once again. Nope, tries to go for the undercut. Doesn't even try that. He just sort of tucks in. Maybe thinks, I'll keep the powder dry. We'll try it maybe the next lap. See if he gets a better run through. But he's obviously quick around this lap than Fraser and the other Insignia car behind, because he's having a fantastic drive today.
That's right. He's, I think as well, with Cal being behind him now in 4th position, he'll watch how Sam's getting through past these 2 Insignia cars. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see Cal trying a couple of them moves himself.
Yeah, fantastic. So nice over the curves, and Cal is almost locked on and ready to go. Once again, though, does go a little bit wide on the bottom on the bottom of T6. Just right, he's under now. Just make the circuit a little bit shorter, and now it's completely had him alongside Derek Crowther. I tell you what, I did not expect to see that kind of move today. I thought pretty much grass was lava around this place, but Callum Regarden makes it work, and he's going back 3 laps earlier and says, let's have another go at this, Derek, and see how you're doing.
That's right, so now he's another Honda Hyundai drag race up to the top of the hill, and they both look like neck and neck as they come up to turn number 1, with Cal ever so slightly in front of his nose, and yet manages to get across and take the corner around T2, T3, and gains a position there past Derek.
So that started off in Duffer's Dip. That was a fantastic move, and it was claimed by turn number 2. Callum Regarden now is up in the 3rd position. We saw a fantastic little move. I mean, that was, I think, 2 times in 2 laps Derek had that done to him. So he's obviously trying to drive to survive, really, because he had a pretty low result in the first race. So excellent. Right, lap number 10 in. 8 minutes, nearly 9 minutes on the board, almost halfway through the reverse grid, and we've seen an infinite amount more action than we did in the first race. So we'll hopefully, half the race gone, half the race to go, we're going to see some more as we look back. And there's a Code Brown machine currently up behind Derek Crowther, and that's Mark Brown with an E. As we're looking back, Mr. Dudley, there we go.
Sorry,
So Derek Crowther looking back, and the blue Code Brown machine in Mr. Brown, who Mark Brown has actually driven all 3 cars. It did break us a little bit early when we came into the session, and we saw Mark Brown in a Hyundai, because we're like, hang on a second, weren't you in a Honda and an Audi in previous races? So this is all 3 cars. But he likes to shop around, does Mr. Brown, and it's looking like it's working for him at the moment, because he's really battling his way forward. +3 positions for himself and his teammate John Brown behind, as he just defends a little bit from these guys. So this is the culmination, if that is a word, of John Brown's recovery, because he's finally got himself back onto this little pack again. And what we have seen with these Team Brown guys is they're not teammates in the biblical sense, if you can call it that. They do like to have a fight, and that might get a little bit spicy in a couple of laps' time, I think. So we're still looking at Derek Crowther. He's currently 4th position. Sam J. Smith ahead, +8. Callum Regard and +8. Very rarely you guys see these 2 people with such good advantages. Places gained. And we've seen John Brown just made that move done, looks like. Nice and clean. And that's the position for P number 5. I think Dan Mould, through complete stealth, has come all the way through the grid into P number 7. Rob, we've completely missed that.
Yeah, no, he's obviously Dan. He's managed to gain 5. Well, he's up 5 positions from his starting place. Again, he had that incident on lap number 1 where unfortunately he tapped Scott's front wing. So yeah, it's just, I suppose, Dan now. It's just a case of try and close as many positions as he can to try and not lose as many points to Cal as he can. Yeah,
fantastic. So 7 seconds out the road will be Mark Brown for him. There are battles for the first 3 position. I say battles, they're just line of stern really. So I think we've missed Garrity dropping many positions, so we're going to have to look at that in the replay. We missed that on camera, guys. We were watching Dan Mould. We're going to have to go and find out what happened to Fraser.
Right, we'll go and see what happens to Fraser.
Okay, he's 3 wheels, so it wasn't that good thing that happened to Fraser. We can see those 3 wheels reverse bounce. Did he, Gav? Yeah, a bit of a flash. Yeah, he's talking to JT Johnson ahead. Yeah, has a little bit of a door-to-door contact and straight off, absolutely in the wall. Fraser coming into this round was 3rd position in the championship. Don't think he's going to have 3rd position at the end of this, I'm afraid. That's a hard crash, and Callum Garden has gone to the pits. So did he have an accident, or did he say, sorry Fraser, I don't feel like I can continue? But he's dropped to the pits.
Yeah, I don't know with Callum there. I think he's just drove in himself. It doesn't say anything about an incident on the timeline.
Well, so completely out of blue, within the lap, we've got 2 people change. Sam J. Smith and Derek Crowther are our first 2 positions. And John Brown is 3rd. Actually, maybe Callum Garden had suspension damage. Maybe we've missed that, because it was a bit of a wheel-on-wheel tap. So maybe he had a front wheel suspension damage, and that's caused him to not be able to continue. So, over the start-finish straight for lap number 15, we've got a completely different race to the one we had a couple of laps ago. Sam J. Smith is in the lead, and he's comfortably in the lead as well. What this will do is, obviously, Callum Garton has dropped many positions now, but Dan Mould is up into 5th position. So that's going to be good for his championship, even if Callum was sort of in 1st or 2nd, really, because that closed the point gap. But yeah, this completely changed it, Rob.
Yeah, no, it'll open it all up there, won't it, now? I think from the table, Dan was about 15-20 points behind, but now if he gets a good finish here now, he could easily close the gap and if not reduce it to single-figure digits. If not get in front of him, it'd definitely, no doubt, reduce it to single-figure digits.
He celebrates that fact by setting a new purple lap, 52.15 from the car 80. And we're just looking back at Crowther again. He's been in all the action and then some. today. He's currently got John Brown up behind him. And John Brown, last time he caught an Insignia car, I think there was a battle for 5 cars, and looks like it's just him and Derek isolated for second position now. So he'll be looking to see what he can do to line himself up. Another Hyundai on Hyundai. In fact, first 4 positions are Hyundai, second 4 positions are Honda, and then it's pretty much Noah's Ark. 2 more Hyundais, 2 more Hondas, and Audi. It's not been an Audi weekend, I don't think.
No, it definitely hasn't been an Audi weekend here, has it? It's definitely the newer cars are more favourable around this track.
Which is surprising, because we thought the Audi was going to be an absolutely stonker off the line here. And up the hill as well. But there we go. John Brown looks like he's dropped down a couple of car lengths off the starts, or off the back of Derek Crowther, sorry, as they go over the curbs. Derek Crowther, if I do a little bit of his highest finish this season is a 4th position in the opening heat race at Brands Hatch. So I don't want to put the curse on him, and I seem to always put the curse on Insignia cars. But this could be a very good finish for Derek. There I go, I've done it.
Yeah, I think Fraser's the one main loser. He gets the commentator's curse.
Fraser's back out circulating, as is Callum Regarding. So yeah, it looks like it probably was suspension damage for Callum, and terminal everything damage for Fraser. Just a bit of a brown pants moment from Derek Crowther as he goes onto the grass, and that allows John Brown up the inside of the hill. And we've seen John do this at least once today. He says nope, hasn't got it enough. Derek didn't want that to happen 3 times this race, and just manages to fend off John Brown as they go down through complex, down in Turners.
Yeah, I'd just like to apologise to everyone watching that the overlay has frozen, and I've been trying to fix it for the past 7 or 8 minutes, so apologies over all that. And unfortunately, I don't think we'll have the overlay working for the rest of the race.
So hiccups and technical problems. Okay, so we're still looking at John Brown. He's ever so slightly getting closer to Derek. He does have the occasional look, which is it's always healthy to keep the guy looking in the mirrors. Dan Mould, the gap between Dan Mould and Mark Brown now is a couple of seconds. So we might see in about 3-4 minutes.
Well, in about 3-4 minutes, we will be getting a white flag, because we're 16 minutes into the race now. Right,
and let's just refresh our brains. How far through did Heat 1 go? 23 laps. We're 18 laps in now, so yep, you're absolutely right. Is there a fight between Ryan Dudley and Nick Clivens behind? I think I saw a red car that was getting quite close to someone.
No, there's...
Nope. That was probably a back marker.
Yeah, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, sorry, between Nick and Ryan.
Okay.
Closest cars on track is still Derek and John. So I wonder if John was just dropping back slightly now, get his tyres back down to temperature, and maybe launch an attack in these last few minutes.
Yep. 1 second difference between Dan Brown and Mark Brown. So Dan Mould and Mark Brown. We don't need another Brown on the grid. We probably do actually. Sign up Sarah in Discord in the information on the stream. Dan Mould did a 52.75, 53.52, sorry, 42 for Mark Brown the lap before. So that gap is continuing to close. May not be enough for these guys. But down the hill one more time, up the compression, over every curb. John Brown still trying to stick on to the coattails of Derek Crowther. And this is the battle for P2, second position.
Just as we have a look here now, Dan's got the gap now down to Mark to half a second. So Dan's really on a flyer, and Mark's lost some momentum somewhere around the track, which puts him right in Dan's crosshairs. So Dan will have the bit between his teeth now and try and get past Mark coming up to turn 1.
Right then, time for an onboard, I think. Dan Mould, well, perfectly timed that as we go in the roll bar for Dan Mould, shows himself up the inside. Mark Brown does try and close the gap a little bit, or try and close the door. Misses the first corner a little bit. Oh, big compression. Dan is absolutely on the anchors, has to avoid himself, takes himself on the outside, and now just has to properly square off that corner as they go up through the complex into T number 8, which just uses a curb on exit. And I think, we're up to, I think, T6 now. It's Turners, isn't it? Over by the curb and by the stadium, and now on to the back straight through the kink, and he's just lined himself up to the inside. And there's a blink, which you never want. but it looks like he's going to have the inside line absolutely done and dusted. But we have seen. I don't think we're going to see Mark Brown get the outside run. But they look like they're absolutely on board. Mark Brown's tucked in behind. That was a bit of a hunt and a kill from Dan Mould. That successful pass, all in space for lap.
Yeah, he was very lucky around turn 2 and 3, McIntyre and Butchers as well. Because with Mark going so slow, Dan could quite easily have tapped him and sent them both out of the race.
McIntyre's. I can't speak the language. I think there's only one person here that can. Malcolm. He's currently sat in the pits in 15th position, I think. So, Dan Mould, he's +8 position in the 4th position. We are looking at the battle between Crowther and Brown. I think he's further ahead. That's very much on again. Yeah, Brown, there we go. Brown is on the outside line, and this is the white flag. We see Barney waving. It looks like Sam J. Smith is absolutely checked out, so we're going to see a bit of a last lap battle between these two guys.
Yeah, this is definitely the ones to watch for the last lap, especially around these first few corners. Let's see if John can close the gap and get right up Derek's backside. They'll coming up the railway straight and into Taylor's to try and attack on the last corner.
So a bit of a defensive line in for Derek Crowther, a bit tighter. John may get the run on the exit. Derek goes through the cover. He goes as tight as he can. John Brown is up behind him, just waits for the hunt and kill. He's going to get himself on the outside line now, under braking into Taylor's. We're going to see, you can see the Simtech car in the head. I think we need to go to see. He's already weaving very, very early, but this is the first win for Sam J. Smith and a successful second place for Derek Crowther and a 3rd position for John Brown. 4 positions for Dan Mould. And looks like 5th position for Mark Brown. Ryan Dudley will be, I think that's his best finish of the season. 6th position and 7th position for Nick Clemens. And Elliot James finishes just behind. And then Chris Perry, we saw have a bit of a drama, as did Daniel Wareham, bring the Matrix machines home in 9th and 10th position. And of course the obligatory murder at the end of T number 1. And JT Johnson crosses the line in 12th position. That's right. It's fair to say that was a little bit busier than race number 1.
It certainly was. It was much more busier, wasn't it? There was a lot more action, a few mishaps, a couple of incidents.
A few, if you don't mind me saying, Code Brown moments.
Certainly was, as we have the 2 Code Brown cars on screen now, both red and blue.
Nice to see a bit of slow motion for them. Fantastic. Well, that's going to change up the championship orders quite a bit, I should think, because Garrity and Callum Garden had dropped many points. John Brown had a fantastic race number 2 that's going to get him a lot more points. Sam J. Smith is only his 2nd appearance at the championship, has put a claim really that says I'm quite good at some of these circuits, so give me some points. And a fantastic couple of races, Rob.
Yeah, they were great races. Race 1, nice and clean, and there's some good racing in there, good respect shown to each other. And then same with race 2 as well. There was a little bit of incidents on lap 1, but after that, saw a couple of good manoeuvres and some good battles as well. Right,
so we're going to do a quick sum up. I don't know if the overlay is working for the final results.
No, unfortunately the overlay is still not working.
Right, okay, so we'll go shoot SDK for the day. But we'll do a quick wrap up with the drive of the day. So we'll start with you, Mr. Jackson.
I'm at a blank this week, to be honest. Just trying to sort out these this overlay in the last race. I didn't really see exactly what was going on, so apologies for that one.
Right, okay, so I'll do the pick and say Sam J. Smith for a fantastic first race and an even better second race. With his first win in the championship, which means there's another unique winner in the championship, and it stood at 9 before the season started. We really are keeping all sorts of useless stats now. So fantastic. So the next race, I will say this actually. The next 2 races, the next race is Okayama, which is a free content circuit, and then fortnight after that is round number 7, which is Summit Point, and those are 2 free circuits. So they're free content circuits, which means you only need to own a TCR car to be in the league to be eligible to race. So we should be able to see some new people along for those 2 races, I think. And the link is in the information for Discord. If anyone watches this stream and says, yes, I'm interested, I'll come along for that. It means that you've got the out of the 3 remaining rounds after this one, you've got 2 free circuits and then Watkins Glen, which is pretty staple circuit in iRacing. So it'd be good to see some more people along. It'd be fantastic. We had 15 here today, and 15 serves up very, very good racing around the circuits. But I think we'll bring up the broadcast to a wrap now. My name's Rob Jackson. Sorry, my name's Rob Sutherland. Wrong Rob. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, and I'll hand over to Mr. Jackson now.
Yep. I was going to say good evening, everyone. There, you threw me as well, then, Rob. But thanks everyone for watching, and apologies again for the technical issues this week. And yeah, as Rob says, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.